Okay, as you can see now, I have the intake off the car right now. So that was the last step, was removing the intake. A couple things to note: behind the intake, there was actually brackets that connect back over here and here. What you can do is you're gonna have to actually reach around. Sorry, I didn't actually catch that while I was taking the intake. I was doing it one-handed. The other thing is there's an EGR tube that connects from the exhaust manifold to the intake manifold. There's two bolts that attach it to it on each side. Typically those are in pretty bad shape. What I did is I actually did this job on this car about 5 years ago. I cut the EGR tube and used one of those repair kits to connect the two. It seems to be pretty common. They actually sell those EGR tubes. Most dealerships stock them, about 75 bucks for that tube. But the real issue is on the bottom is those nut, that bolt. I didn't want to mess with it because it's pretty rusted. This car came from Maine, so a lot of corrosion back there. I was afraid if I was to fight it too bad, I'd end up cracking my my exhaust manifold. Tried taking it off at one point with a acetylene torch, and that wasn't even hot enough to do it. So the amount of force that was required, just figured it'd be easier just to cut it. Here's the knock sensor wire. Right now you can see you still need to remove the bypass hoses, bypass tubes, excuse me. There's an O-ring in here, there's an O-ring down there, and then there you got your housing over here. That's the step where you actually have to remove the transmission linkage, which is right down over in here, in order to get at the bolt right down there to access the bypass. This car actually is in worse shape than I thought as far as leaking and so forth. So I'm actually going to also go ahead and replace the valve cover gaskets. It's a mess on the back side. Won't come out, but you can see it's leaking right around here. I also have new gaskets to replace down there, so you might want to have those handy. That's that. One thing to point out though, these lines, this car is about 10 years old. It got pretty brittle. Looks like I broke a solenoid connection right over there. I'm going to see if I could repair it. If not, I'm going to have to replace that solenoid, unfortunately. That controls vacuum for the EGR system on this car, and also the fuel injection system. Excuse me, for the cruise control. I actually wasn't paying attention. I don't know if this is the EGR or the cruise control, but it's one of the two for that. And then you can see there's a lot of wiring harnesses that actually connected to the intake. It is kind of a bear to wrestle out. I wrestled it out in this direction towards the passenger side, or the right side of the vehicle. That's probably, I'm gonna guess, the way that most folks do it. And then there's spark plug wires, just got to pull out of the way. So the next step for me is to remove this coolant bypasses across the top of the engine so I can access my knock sensor. So once again, I'm going to remove the linkage for the transmission so I can access the bolts. And on this, I actually ended up leaving the throttle on the car. You can see over here. The reason that was is these hoses are in such bad shape. I was afraid if I pry that off, I would actually break it, and then I would end up having to wait a couple days for hoses, because my local parts stores don't stock a lot of the stuff for this car, unfortunately. And also on this piece here, when you disconnect it, this is the fuel in for your fuel rail. There's a aluminum washer or copper washer. It's a crush washer, one on each side. Do not lose that. If you lose it, basically you're going to have a leak. Right now I got one. It's resting down in there. I know where it is, so I'm going to pull it out. But that is another common issue. When you undo the bolt on this side, the washer falls down. I just forgot it was there, even though I knew it was there this morning when I made my mental checklist. So I'm going to get to it, and then I'll update you guys then.